Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Good. Well, I'm very happy to be here today. I'm so happy to see all of you there in the church and all of you on Zoom. This is only, I think, our third hybrid session, and it's the first time that I've been on a hybrid session from home. So it's a totally different experience each way. And I'm just so grateful for everybody who's worked so hard to make it possible. We know that none of us are here by accident. We're all here as part of the divine source energy that manifests as unity on the Eastern Shore, here and now. So let's repeat together the words as shown on your screen of our first positive affirmation. Together, we lovingly and gratefully acknowledge the presence of the divine in our midst. And because we are a purpose-led church, let's repeat together our purpose statement. Together, our purpose is to foster a new level of spiritual awareness through worship and fellowship, and to lift one another to a Christ-like maturity. We're so happy today to have David Trolley with us again. Good morning, David.
Good morning to all of you. It's wonderful to be here, and this is one of my favorite Eddie Watkins songs. If you know it, sing along at home, and if you don't know it, you probably will get a hang of it and be singing it the rest of the afternoon. Okay. I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday and mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy, and happiness is yours and it's mine. I am loved and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Well, let me hear you sing. All is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. I am cloaked in the Spirit, I am led by the divine. I am one with all there is. My soul is free from time. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. Unfolding as it should.
Thank you, David, very much. I think that probably got us all off to a good start. June's spiritual power is imagination. As you can see by this beautiful soft blue banner, imagination. Remember that as you go through this week each day, and try to have the imagination of a child. Let's repeat together our affirmations. Together, there is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God, the good, omnipotent. Together, we know God blesses all special intentions in our prayer box and that God's perfect plan is in action. Together, we are alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. Today's daily word is world peace. And I believe Pam is going to read today's daily word for us.
World peace. Peace shared between people spreads throughout the world. I contribute to world peace when I join in spirit with all people who dedicate themselves to expressing divine love, united in the belief that God is within everyone. I affirm the divinity of humankind and honor each person as a unique expression of God. I recognize and release any unkind thoughts or feelings toward any person or group of people. I respect all others and seek to learn more about customs and beliefs that are unfamiliar to me as I grow in a spirit of kinship. I believe a warm, friendly attitude communicates my intentions as effectively as my words. I smile easily and extend myself to others in a spirit of friendship. I remain mindful that as peace flowers between individuals, peace grows in the world. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Micah 4:3.
Thank you, Pam. World peace, how true. And now we're going to have another song from David called Author of the Impossible by John Jones. So David, please bring us another one of your wonderful songs.
You are an author of the impossible, the living, breathing creation itself, the unseen realm from which the world will flow with the grace of spirit as well. You are an author of the impossible, mystical nature of all life itself, the breath of God from within your soul springs forth from your heart as well. There are forces at play that would have you believe that the world is on fire and out of control. Deceivers will tell you you'll never achieve the truth of your heart and the work of your soul. But be not dissuaded, for that which you know to be true in your heart, and define it. For you hold the answers to the questions you ask, and the ways and the means to assign it. You You are an author of the impossible, the living, breathing creation itself, the unseen realm from which the world will flow with the grace of spirit as well. You are an author of the impossible, mystical nature of all life itself, the breath of God from within your soul springs forth from your heart as well. It's time to let go of the things in your life that no longer continue to serve, like the anger of loss or the feeling of the cost that you won't stay ahead of the curve. The reality is you're never alone, though many may tell you you're wrong. You're never separate from the source. You're the notes, the singer, the song. You are an author of the impossible, the living, breathing creation itself, the unseen realm from which the world will flow with the grace of spirit as well. You are an author of the impossible, mystical nature of all life itself, the breath of God from within your soul springs forth from your heart as well.
Beautiful, David. Thank you, David, so much. Inspiring words. We are the author of the impossible. And this morning, I'm very happy to welcome a very special guest who was a couple of years ago the poet laureate visiting Fairhope from Canada. She's a beautiful person. She uses her beautiful words and photographic images to inspire us all. I've been very fortunate to have many of her contributions to add to the newsletter. But more than anything, she's a friend to all of us in Fairhope. And we're so happy that she continues to join with us from Canada. Please welcome my friend and yours, Sharon Sinclair.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrea. I think I've unmuted myself so you can hear me. Yes, good. Well, I just want to thank you so much for having me back again. It still seems a bit surreal to me that I can talk into my little iPhone and know that my voice and my image is coming down to beautiful Fairhope. Years ago, that would have seemed impossible. So I think you are all authors of the impossible and making it happen. And I'm really pleased that David is doing the music today. That's an extra special gift for me. So wherever you're listening, I just want to really warmly welcome you to this message. And as always, I just can only hope that something I say might touch your heart today and make it worth your while to have shared with me some of your time and some of your attention, both of which I value very much. Many years ago, when I was a teacher, as part of the school's initiative to try to encourage creative writing, we had a number of children's authors come to speak to the classes. And there was one day, and unfortunately, I can't remember her name, but I do remember one little piece of advice she gave to the children. And she said, always keep a little boogie running through your brain. Always keep a little boogie running through your brain. Because it was her feeling that if we fill our thoughts with rhythmic language and a nice beat, that it's a soothing sensation, and it also can encourage creative thought. So I do think that I agree with her on that, because I usually have quite a few little things flowing through my mind. And I find that one of the benefits is that it keeps worrisome thoughts and fears away. They can't get in there with the rhythm and the beat of language and poetry and music. So this last little while, one of the tidbits going through my brain is a song by John Legend called All of Me. He says, love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. So that is what I'd like to talk with us about today, the concept of perfect imperfections. And first, I invite you to join me in a prayer. Please settle comfortably wherever you are. Take some deep breaths as you relax. Close your eyes, your outer eyes, as Anne says. I think that's a great image, Anne. So with your outer eyes closed and our inner eyes wide open, focused on our concept of divine mind, let us fill our hearts with a sense of gratitude. Listen to the beat of your heart, or feel it as a sensation. May my words help express your own communication with the source of all that is good and holy. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity to come together as a congregation to worship you with praise for all our many blessings. We are confident that you hear our prayers and that answers will come, perhaps in ways we never expected, but in your perfect timing and in your perfect knowledge of what is best for us in our growth towards Christ-like maturity. Help us to trust your will for our lives and to live in harmony with the laws of the universe to the best of our ability. Thank you for all our spiritual powers and for helping us to expand our understanding. Thank you for the power for all creation. Incredible wealth. Help us find the courage to take a leadership role, however small or however large, to initiate the changes that are necessary. Changes that will root out systemic biases that pull. Thank you for the assurance. Reality will always color our experience, a spectrum of possibilities. Please guide us as we strive to emerge from this pandemic with a new sense of a better normal. Help us find the resources and the will required to paint a new image of a more perfect future for the greatest good of all. Amen. So have you ever noticed how pervasive is the concept of perfection? It surfaces in so many ways because we each prioritize areas of our life that we would like to have perfect, whether it's the perfect garden, the perfect house, the perfect love, the perfect job. But perfection is defined as a state of or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. And when you really think of it, perfection on the earthly plane is an illusion, something that can never be attained. The poet Robert Browning wrote once that a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? Perhaps if we could accept with grace that true perfection lies only in the heavenly realm, we might achieve a different level of contentment on earth when things don't go exactly the way we would have wished. And perhaps if we are not always chasing the illusion of perfection, we might stay more focused in the moment with a different level of appreciation and gratitude for what we already have within our grasp. Another song running through my mind lately may be familiar to some of you country fans. And I wish I had your skills, David, so I could give the tune, but I'm only going to give you the lyrics, which I think are very well crafted. It was released in 1973 by Ray Griff, and it's called It Rains Just the Same in Missouri. In this song, the singer is reluctant to say goodbye to his love, who has packed her bags and is leaving their relationship. He tells her that silver bird can't take you from the cloudy things in life. No, don't let a lover's quarrel end it all. You can't run away and hide when things don't go just right. Anywhere you go, you'll find the tears will fall. Because it rains just the same in Missouri as it does here in old Idaho. You'll cry just the same, and you'll find that it rains in Missouri or wherever you go. There's definitely some truth to that. And it's restated in that familiar concept that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. So then, how do we reconcile the wish to have high standards with the desire for contentment? It's a tricky balance, isn't it? Sometimes the best solution is to leave a situation and make a fresh start. So, how do we know what choice is best? I think that one way is simply to listen to that still small voice inside, and perhaps to ask ourselves again those 4 questions I've mentioned before that I think are attributed to Deepak Chopra. Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? What makes me happy? Apparently, we need to release these questions and trust that the universe will move us into the answers. Eventually, though, we must find the courage to either make a change in our circumstances or to come to peace with the idea of good enough. Years ago, I heard the advice to have the courage, to find the courage to say, that is good enough. And I found that that was a very liberating feeling for me, because I'm as guilty as anyone else for holding to perfect illusions and ideals. But a much greater peace can be found by prioritizing the things to which we give our time and that much energy. Perhaps not everything has to be perfect. Perhaps if we can rise above the need to find protection in all our busy daily routines, we'll have more success focusing on ways to fulfill those 2 great commandments: to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind, and love thy neighbor as thyself. This might be a much better way to spend our energy. And although perfection is anything but attainable, a commitment to excellence in whatever we might choose is very much within our grasp. And perhaps that should be our goal: doing the best we can, striving for excellence without the burden of needing perfection. I read that the closest thing to perfection is the ability to be fully present in the moment. Without distracting thoughts, measuring or grading ourselves, we're free to really be in the moment. And it's at that moment that we are truly alive. Perhaps the perfectionist isn't typically present, as they're either busy critiquing the past and replaying their every decision or worrying about the future. That perspective is from Mel Schwartz, a psychotherapist who comments on the problem with perfection. Psychologists have a theory that we strive toward being perfect to compensate for a sense of inadequacy. People who want to be perfect usually have an exaggerated sense of their own shortcomings. They typically received messages earlier in life that they weren't good enough. So they decided that only by being perfect would they somehow be beyond reproach. They tend to think that other people are somehow better or superior to them, and they need to be without flaw just to catch up. This is a terribly damaging myth. I've been aware of that damaging myth all my life because I have a very dear sister who has suffered from an extreme form of perfectionism called obsessive compulsive disorder. It's excruciatingly painful to watch her wipe clean a counter to her satisfaction or to fold laundry in a way that is more precise. And it just it consumes so much of her time that could be given to more important pursuits. Every small daily task becomes a burden. In my sister's case, she was, as an adult, finally correctly diagnosed, and she needs to take medicine every day to correct the chemical imbalance in the levels of serotonin in her brain. But every day still presents great challenges. She's one of the bravest people I know, and she has worked on developing strategies to help her function with less difficulty. So I always urge people to seek medical attention if you ever feel that an obsessive need for protection or perfection really is interfering in your quality of life. Compulsive behavior may be complicated by a medical condition. Additionally, if it's true that the need for perfection comes from a sense of our inadequacy, how important are those affirmations that will help us to rewrite the neural pathways and give us a greater sense of confidence to let things go when they are simply too trivial to deserve that much time and energy? I had a fridge magnet once that said, when all else fails, lower your standards. And I think that there is some advantage to that. I'd also like to tell you now, um, well, before I do that, I'm going to just explain that when analyzing what we perceive as perfections in our lives, I've also found it helpful to consider that our prayers are not always answered in the way we might deem the most perfect, because that's happens because we are looking through our imperfect lenses. We do not have the clarity of divine perception. There's a poem I discovered once called Unanswered Prayers. It's attributed to an unknown Confederate soldier. You may have heard it before, but here it is again. Unanswered Prayers. I asked for strength that I might achieve. I was made weak that I might learn humbly to obey. I asked for health that I might do greater things. I was given infirmity that I might do better things. I asked for riches that I might be happy. I was given poverty that I might be wise. I asked for power that I might have the praise of men. I was given weakness that I might feel the need of God. I asked for all things that I might enjoy life. I was given life that I might enjoy all things. I got nothing that I had asked for, but everything I had hoped for. Almost despite myself, my unanswered prayers, my unspoken prayers were answered. And I'd like to tell you now a story that I think illustrates how guardian angels are always around us to help us out in situations that are definitely imperfect. One dark February night in Canada, when I was returning to my rural residence from my job in the city as a teacher in Toronto, I had a very long commute, and I was grateful that night that there were no snowstorms because the visibility was good. But when I got probably within 10 kilometers or 10 miles, roughly, from my home, it was suddenly like a fog had come down, and I could not see anything in front of me. And I was also aware of a really soft song, almost like a humming song. And in retrospect, I like to think of it as the whisper of angel wings that are fluttering. But at the time, it was just so confusing to me that I didn't understand what was happening at all. And I looked down quickly just to make sure that my high beams were on. And when I looked back up, there, right in front of the car, was a beautiful deer running full speed. So, of course, I put the brakes on, but it was too late. The car struck the animal and it propelled it into the windshield, smashing the windshield. And I guess the force of that impact sent the deer off into the ditch. But when the windshield shattered, also the airbags went off. So it was a very um, troubling situation, and I was in shock for sure. So I reached for my purse to get the business card of our local Ford dealer, Randy Boyd, because Randy had always told me that if I got in trouble on my trips, just call him first before any roadside assistance, and he would help me. So I had his card in my hand, and then I reached for a very archaic phone that I kept only for such emergencies. But as fate would have it, the phone battery was completely dead, and I had no power whatsoever. So as I sat there, I became aware of a bit of fine dust or smoke accumulating in the car, and I thought I'd better get out, even though the thought of that had brought its own vulnerability. So there I was on a very lonely stretch of road in the darkness and just contemplating what I was going to do because it wasn't a well traveled road. But within a few minutes, I saw some headlights approaching, and the car first went by me and then it backed up. And I heard this familiar voice say, "Oh, it's you, Sharon. What happened? Did the car break down?" Because just that weekend before, I had gone into the garage for an oil and filter change. So this man got out like a knight in shining armor to me, and he could discern what happened with the deer. And I stood in amazement and I said, "Randy, you are not going to believe this. Your business card is in my hand, but I have no phone. And now here you are, and you bring relief." So that situation always was completely amazing to me. It couldn't have worked out any better in its imperfect state because Randy took me to the residence where he was going. He doesn't even live out that way. He was just going to a nearby community to pick up his daughter from a birthday party. So we went to that residence and we called the police. And because he had a dealership, he was able to put me into another car to get back to Toronto the next morning. So I tell you this just because I think that it helps to illustrate that we are never really alone and that sometimes we just have to trust that there are angels looking over us. And later, a nephew of mine who works in the insurance industry remarked, "Do you realize how lucky you were, Sharon? Because we get claims all the time that when an animal actually comes up and shatters the windshield, it goes right through the windshield and fatally impales the driver." So I definitely felt like I was touched by an angel. And a few weeks later, I was processing this unsettling experience through a poem called Dear Heart. And I'd like to share just a few lines of that with you. On a lonely road, in the headlights gleam, a fleeting form, like the edge of a dream. Our lives connected in a second's pain, and never for either was life the same. Your struggle for survival was lifted away, while mine will continue to challenge each day. Your exuberance for life was stolen from you, while mine was altered and subtly subdued. So fragile are we on this journey called life, where delicate strength is burdened with strife, that each second when hope can still be discerned is a blessing, a treasure that can never be earned. Vain to fawn upon destiny's beckoning call, fate shows her hand in the clock on the wall. And just to experience the joy and the pain, we rise for tomorrow and begin again. A few days after composing that poem, I was in the photocopy room at school and I thought I'd make a few copies of it. And they were just sitting beside me on the passenger seat one day. in my newly restored vehicle after a $7,000 repair job, which the insurance company paid without question. It was just considered a comprehensive loss with no fault assigned. And I was approaching the site of the accident when I saw a vehicle on the side of the road, and I knew immediately what had happened. Now they actually have a deer crossing sign there. So I got out of my vehicle and I went over to make sure they were okay. And it was a family, and they were shaken very much and feeling distressed at having had that terrible encounter with a deer. But they assured me that they'd called the police and that everything was fine. So I went back to my car, and I happened to notice that the poem was sitting there. So I took a poem copy and I passed it through the open window to the driver of the vehicle, just as my way of acknowledging the shock and the sadness of that event. And as I left, I was laughing to myself, thinking, now, when they tell the story of their situation, they'll say, and then this woman came out of nowhere with a poem about hitting a deer. So that always just was kind of an amusing coincidence to me, but it's a terrible thing to happen if you haven't experienced it. And it did make me a little bit less judgmental, I think, too, because I could never understand really how that could happen, but I do now. So we need to remember that we're not always alone on this earthly journey. No matter how imperfect things may seem, there is a theory that we are exactly where we are meant to be at any point in time for our soul's development. Thought of in this light, our imperfect experiences are part of a great design, and designs often do not happen without a certain amount of pain and struggle. Recently, a good friend of mine named Elizabeth told me about this beautiful Cecropia moth in her garden and sent photos. It's absolutely splendid with the most amazing colors and images and symmetry. She then referred me to a video that shows the life cycle of a moth. And as you probably know, they go through several uncomfortable stages before emerging in all their glory. And I see this as an analogy to our own development. We are all shedding skins of growth and change on our spirit's physical evolution. Only when we reunite on a heavenly plane will we know true perfection. Jan Bloom, who is a teacher and a co-founder of Desiring God, writes that perfectionism is a ponderous weight we must lay aside in this race of faith. He refers to Galatians 5, verse 6, when he reminds us that God doesn't want us to focus on performing perfectly. He wants us to focus on living out a childlike faith through authentic acts of love. Perhaps in that way, we might more closely approach the ideal of world peace that was our daily word reflection for today. In Colossians 3, verses 12 through 17, we are instructed to clothe ourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Since members of one body, we are members of one body, and we were called to peace. And be thankful. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. And what you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. There's our mission, so beautifully stated in the Bible. When I started my message, I referred to a song by John Legend called All of Me. Although John Legend co-wrote this song for his wife, I think it could also be regarded as a conversation between ourselves and Divine Mind, who promises, give your all to me. I'll give my all to you. Our response might be, you're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. because I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Maybe that's as perfect as it gets in this lifetime. Thank you. And now I invite you to join me in a meditation where I hope we can exercise our spiritual power of imagination to go on a journey of relaxation. Through a little research, I discovered that the power of imagination in unity is associated with Bartholomew. Apparently, Jesus saw Bartholomew sitting under a fig tree a long way off before he was able to visually see him with the human eye. And this story illustrates the power we have to visualize a reality and to create that reality. For that reason, we are encouraged to imagine only what is good, because sooner or later, under the law, what we imagine will come into expression. So I'd like to take you on a little imaginary trip. Just stretch a little if you need to, and settle comfortably wherever you are. Take a few deep breaths and fully relax into your chair. Not to the point of sleep. You will stay fully awake, but you will feel deeply relaxed. Let your shoulders down, close your eyes, and continue to take deep, slow breaths. Inhale, each time holding that breath for a count of 4, if that's comfortable for you, and then exhale. Now, please imagine that in front of you there is a door. See yourself standing and looking at the door. You will find that there is a path opening before you, leading to the door. A path that is tree-lined on both sides, creating a canopy effect overhead. You are aware of a deep sense of silence as you proceed toward the door. The door you imagine can be of any material, any color, any design. Your door may not be like anyone else's door, but every door today will open into a beautiful garden. Feel your hand turning the knob on the door and see how easily it opens. Step over the threshold and observe the beauty all around you. There are flowers everywhere of the most vibrant colors. As you look to the left, you see what appears to be a very comfortable bench just beckoning you to come and rest. From your position on the bench, take a look around. Off to the right, there is a beautiful waterfall cascading into a turquoise pool. As you listen to the sound of the falling water, you can feel yourself being cleansed of all fear and negativity of the physical world. All sense of fatigue leaves your being, and you begin to feel exuberantly alive. Slowly, you become aware of a beam of white light emanating from the sky. This light gradually expands until it enfolds you and holds you in a gentle embrace. Continue breathing deeply while you consider these words from Annie Johnson Flint. What God hath promised. God hath not promised skies always blue, flower-strewn pathways all our lives through. God hath not promised sun without rain, joy without sorrow, peace without pain. But God hath promised strength for the day, rest for the labor, light for the way, grace for the trials, help from above, unfailing sympathy, undying love. God hath not promised we shall not know toil and temptation, trouble and woe. He hath not told us we shall not bear many a burden, many a care. God hath not promised smooth roads and wide, Swift, easy travel, needing no guide. Never a mountain, rocky and steep. Never a river, turbid and deep. But God hath promised strength for the day, rest for the labor, light for the way, grace for the trials, help from above, unfailing sympathy, undying love. Wrapped in the comforting assurance of being deeply loved, you become aware that the light is now focused directly between your eyes, where we are told that imagination has the center of its action. Feel the light entering your head, where it travels along a set of tissues that extend back into the brain and connect with an imaging or picture-making function near the root of the optic nerves. Through this faculty, you can project an image of things without or ideas within. Let your imagination now project an image of a beautiful dresser sitting just a few yards ahead of you on the path. See yourself rise from the bench and approach the dresser with curiosity. Notice the beautiful carvings on the dresser and its appearance of timeless craftsmanship. The dresser has a set of 3 deep drawers. First, cautiously open the bottom drawer. You become immediately aware of photographs and memorabilia, carefully organized and sorted into categories. As you examine the contents more closely, you see that these are images of your ancestors who have brought you to this earth through generations of planning and hard work. You feel a rush of gratitude for all you have been given. You are also aware that a loving spirit of forgiveness fills your heart for any wrongdoings that have been committed against you by these ancestors who tried their best to instruct you in the ways of the world, often limited by their own imperfections, sometimes with very few personal resources and hampered by a lack of understanding of the consequences of their actions. Forgive their limitations and wish their souls Godspeed. Now you will close that drawer, knowing you can reopen it anytime you might wish to revisit the past. Confidently open the middle drawer and marvel at the photographs of your life as you are presently experiencing it in this physical realm. This is a very important drawer, for it holds all the precious moments of your lifetime, including this precious moment. See all the stages of development throughout your life as you followed different paths and met important people along the way. Again, let your heart feel a deep spirit of forgiveness for any of your mistakes and for your own imperfect nature. This drawer holds all the resources you need to move forward. But for now, close the middle drawer with a sense of wonder and gratitude for your life. Be assured that this drawer opens easily for new items to be added on a daily basis. Now see yourself reverently opening the top drawer. There you find, resting on beautiful shelf liners, a variety of blank journals and several canvases yet to be painted. This is the drawer to your future, a future you can create in any manner you so choose. Take a moment to imagine what a painting of your future might look like, and use your powers of imagination to project that image onto one of the canvases. Feel the sense of empowerment you have to design not only your personal future, but the future of the planet and the well-being of others. Project an image of what you think harmony might look like. What color is world peace? Where do you appear in this picture of a world with less stress and more compassion? Feel a sense of excitement and enthusiasm that will stay with you and motivate you to make the changes necessary to move forward. With a feeling of great joy at the possibilities in this drawer, close it gently for now and see yourself returning to your bench. Feeling deeply relaxed, notice how the light is spreading out now to enfold your physical being. Watch it extend and spread its healing energy around all your loved ones. If they need your prayers, speak their names, either silently or out loud, whatever you choose. Watch closely as the light extends to our communities, to our leaders, both locally and globally, empowering them with wisdom and the commitment to make good choices. See the light of peace begin to encircle the whole world, bringing healing energy to every part of the planet. Feel a part of this miraculous healing by sending out waves of light and love collectively, strong enough to eliminate disease and illness, replacing greed with generosity and respect for all living things. And just sit silently for a moment with your own thoughts and hopes for the future. When you feel ready to return to your personal sanctuary, see yourself rising carefully from that bench. Survey with gratitude the lovely garden and walk along the path back to the door. Close the door securely behind you and gradually make your way back to your present location. Breathe deeply the fragrance of hope and possibility that fills your spirit with happiness. And when you are ready, open your eyes. And together we're going to enjoy a lovely song played by David.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. You're blessing to the world. You're a blessing to the world.
Thank you so much, Sharon and David, for a beautiful, beautiful service, a beautiful message, and a wonderful meditation. This is the time we give our love offerings. If you are watching from home, you can see the address on the screen. Send your love offerings to Unity on the Eastern Shore, P.O. Box 776, Fairhope 36533. If you are in the church today, there's a basket in the vestibule where you can deposit your offering on your way out today. And now we're going to enjoy another song, Holy Now by Peter Meyer.
And I want to thank Reverend Ann. I haven't seen you today, but I know you're there someplace. Thank Reverend Ann for asking for this song. When I was a boy, each week on Sundays we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. child's face and say it's not a testament, well, that'd be very hard to say. And see another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven second rate, hand me down. But now I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Thank you, David. That was beautiful. I too find that to be one of my favorite songs that you've brought to us. Let's pray together the prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, for we are one. And we will close. David will close the service for us with "Let there be peace on earth."
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody. Please feel free to unmute yourself and say hello to each other.